So, I was waiting to see if an official translation would come out about this article, but no, so I'm going to give credit where it's due. Read the original one at Chibi-Pyo's Hoyo Lab post, please. Give credit to the people who put effort into translating the stuff that the devs and media companies from abroad won't, despite the game is globally available. So, why does the Honkai series believe in human potential? An interview with the story development team on the epic ode to humanity and the art of portraying the beauty of the world. The original link is there, you can check it out. If you know Japanese better than I do, you will have more fun with this read. I found it really difficult. Based on the title alone. Honkai Impact Third was definitely about humans moving into the future, their impact on the world, and what it means to be a good person and develop into humanity. We literally see Kiana's journey throughout the game, which started off as her as the Herrscher of Void, as Sirin, who was tormented by other humans and hated the world, come to fall in love with the person she ended up seeing as her mother, dying, and then coming back as the alternative to that woman's original child. Because of her love, she had a driving force to want to be connected to the world. And as the story goes on, we see her struggle with that, and eventually come to realize, even through the hardship, that she finds the world beautiful and wants it to be able to still exist, to the point of giving herself up, giving up her ordinary life for other people. And the same goes for her supporting cast, who are also the leads to the game, but I'd say part 1 was Kiana's story mostly, but these two do get love. Second most important is May Raiden, who struggled with dealing with the fact that her father was arrested falsely and was put into a position where the other kids blamed her in association for the crime he was blamed for, to the point where she only had really one friend after that incident, which was Kiana. She awakened to her powers as a Herrscher and caused devastation in Nagazora. She wanted to end her own life as a result of that, and Kiana saved her. So she came to deeply value her connection to Kiana, to the point where she was willing to sacrifice her freedoms in order to save Kiana's life. But she then came to realize that there was so much more she could value through her journey in the Elysian realm. Meeting Elysia, who was the first Herrscher in the previous era, who gave her an insight into what it's like to love your life and to appreciate the lives of others and to have that sort of connection. To the point where she couldn't remain at Kevin's side in the end. Kevin let her go, so she decided to return to her friends and fight for the world. Bronya was raised as a killer because of her sickness. She lost her mother. Just to be fair, so did May, but all 3 girls actually lost their mothers, but still. The way that those 2 lost their mothers is due to exposure to Honkai. Meanwhile, Kiana, it's complicated. Her quote-unquote mother, who isn't biological but absolutely is her mother, sacrificed her life for Sirin's. But in the case of Bronya, she was raised as a super soldier at a young age, had very minimal connection, found these 2 in school, gradually grew close to them, had her past brought up to force her development, was given the core of the Herrscher reason by Welt through her exploration of the Sea of Quanta, developed to come to value herself and understand her capabilities, and move forward into the future supporting what all of them wanted, which was to be able to return to their lives and move forward again. Meanwhile, Star Rail, we're literally on the journey. We're exploring new horizons constantly through it. But yeah, I think that the idea of it being an ode to humanity and showing the triumphs and failures of people is very accurate. Both games accomplish that beautifully. I am curious how Nexus Anima will fit into that, but we'll find out long term, I guess. So, Is this... To be honest, I've always thought the Honkai series was shrouded in mystery. I didn't. With the ongoing titles like Honkai Gakuen, which is Gun Girl Z, which I have played only tiny amounts of. I know of things from that game, but goddamn. Honkai Impact Third and Honkai Star Rail, it spans multiple games, yep. Honkai Impact Third is like a remake of Gun Girl Z, but changes a lot about it to almost humanize the characters more. Because Gun Girl Z is kind of massively Yuri bait, and the story of certain characters are totally different. Like, for example, Kevin Castellana, I'd say, underwent some of the most major change, and Elysia Strope didn't exist in Honkai Gakuen until after. Yeah, I've often wondered, how are these titles connected? What drives the creators in their development process? While it's undeniably a massive hit, a lot of it remains enigmatic. I don't think it does. I think that the theme is quite clear. Amidst this intrigue, the much-anticipated collaboration between Honkai Impact Third and Honkai Star Rail has been announced. I remember this collab, it was actually kinda disappointing, I won't lie. These two games, long considered sister titles, were teaming up, yep. Seizing this opportunity, they travelled to Shanghai to speak directly with the story team behind the Honkai series. Let's go. Frankly, this might be the first ever in-depth interview delving into the series as a whole. I like that. Even Hoyoverse representatives remarked, this hardly ever happens. I like that. We delved deeply into the Honkai series, exploring a variety of topics, the inspiration and backgrounds behind this collaboration, the series' overarching themes of a cosmic scale ode to humanity, the vision being portrayed in Honkai Impact Third and Honkai Star Rail, the origins of iconic characters like Kiana, Mei, and Bronya, and even tales of the creators dreaming about the 13 Flame Chasers during the intense development of Elysian Realm. At least it wasn't just us. At least it wasn't just us dreaming about these characters and the story they wrote, and a lot more about the Honkai series. Before we dive in, allow me a moment of personal reflection. As I worked on this article, I found myself nearly moved to tears. Interesting, okay. The journey to protect the beauty of the world, the voyage to explore the stars, the emotions and intentions behind these narratives were shared with us more openly than I ever imagined. To all captains and trailblazers out there, I hope you'll read this to the very end. Let's go. So, topic 1, how did the crossover happen? 2, why does the series continue to depict a grand cosmic scale ode to humanity? Let's go. 3, the collaboration challenges of Elysian Realm. When the job was so harsh, the 13 Flame Chasers started appearing in their creators' dreams. Number 4, the story behind the creation of the main trio, which are Kiana, Mei, and Bronya in Honkai Impact Third. 5, who was the most challenging character to create so far? That's fun. 6, the foundational setting for the entire Honkai series was established much earlier than you might think. Okay, fun. And 7, should we be even more excited for a modern alternative universe content? Okay, fair enough. So number 1. Thank you for having us today. To start, we'd love to hear about the collaboration between Honkai Impact Third and Honkai Star Rail. What inspired this collaboration? How did it all begin? The worlds of Honkai Impact Third and Honkai Star Rail are deeply interconnected. We know this because well is literally the same well as in Third, meaning they take place in the same universe. Same galaxy, no, but same universe, yes. So, from an early stage, we were thinking, could we create something that ties the two universes together? Yeah, and you did. In a way, we've been waiting for the right moment to make this collaboration happen. In particular, the character Vita, goddammit, who appears in Honkai Impact Third, plays a pivotal role in connecting the two worlds from a narrative standpoint. Her unique attribute makes her an ideal figure for this scenario. With Vita actively involved now, we felt this was the perfect opportunity to launch the collaboration. And they ultimately made her a masked fool, which is pretty neat still. I do like that aspect. Sounds like the collaboration has been in the works for some time. Was it something you had in mind around the time Honkai Star Rail was officially released about 2 years ago? Since they are sister titles, we had the vague idea a long time ago. But it wasn't until Vita where we started to have more solid plans. So Vita was the starting point of the collaboration. Interesting. When developing the Honkai series, there are two key principles we always hold dear. One, what do we want to achieve in the future? The ideal picturing. And two, what do we need to work on right now? The actual development. We made a clear distinction between these two stages, the ideation stage and the actual development stage. For example, in Phase 1, we envisioned Welt as the foundation for connecting the two titles from a very early stage in the project. That would have been really bloody cool. Why not? Because he is literally the first connection we get to Third in Star Rail. God damn it. In other words, even during the conceptual phase, we considered the possibility of a future collaboration between the two works. This is why Welt was introduced in Honkai Star Rail from the outset. Let's go! Additionally, characters like Vita and Sparkle, who appear in this collaboration, serve as a catalyst to connect the two worlds, while showcasing an exciting synergy between two titles for players. We believe these elements will provide an enjoyable experience for everyone. And they're explaining what goes on with Vita, fair enough. In this collaboration, the characters from Honkai Impact Third travel through the world of Honkai Star Rail. Could you share the thought process behind writing this particular storyline? Our focus was how to present this collaboration to players. We understand that many players might only be familiar with one of the titles. Some might not have played Honkai Impact Third, which is more likely, yeah. While others might not have experienced Honkai Star Rail, less likely. A lot of the players, if anything, from Third jumped into Star Rail, especially once Part 2 started kicking off. The goal was to allow players to relax and enjoy Honkai Impact Third's collaboration without feeling overwhelmed. At the same time, we wanted to convey the appeal of Honkai Star Rail's world for those who have played Honkai Impact Third and make them feel its charm. Fair enough. For players who haven't tried Honkai Star Rail, we aim to offer something fresh and fun. Additionally, for those who enjoy both games, we hoped the collaboration will bring them joy as it highlights their favourite content coming together. As a long-term player of both games, like, I've played Honkai Impact Third for a very, very long time at this point. I like the trailer material more than I did the final collaboration. So the intent was maybe there, but the practical, the outcome of it didn't feel like what they wanted. I'll be honest. Aiming to serve the players on both sides, was it a challenge to write something with the settings and world of both titles in mind? When it comes to Honkai Impact Third, we often approach the story from the perspective of how would people from the solar system react when they face the unknown in space. Makes sense. This mindset guides the way we write the scenarios, so no matter how challenging the situation might be, well, we always find a way to make it work. Oh, hi Sparkle! In this collaboration, Sparkle appeared as a playable character. Why was Sparkle chosen for this role? Because fun. I imagine there were other options such as March 7th or Dan Hung from the Honkai Star Rail's train crew. What made Sparkle the right choice? I do like this consideration. Sparkle is a mischievous trickster character, and she's unpredictable, popping up everywhere. For that reason, we feel she was the perfect fit as the main character for this collaboration. Let's go. There's no place where she wouldn't seem at home. We wanted players to be surprised by Sparkle's presence while maintaining a sense of narrative persuasiveness within the story. In a way, it is like Honkai Impact Third is borrowing Sparkle from Honkai Star Rail, with the character temporarily stepping away from the main storyline of Star Rail for a while. I see, Sparkle was chosen for a characteristic, which is fair. It would definitely result in more fun interactions between her and Vita than it would have been if March were there. Imagine March dealing with Vita. God. Additionally, Sparkle's appearance was heavily influenced by Vita's presence. Just as this collaboration is centered around Vita, her connection to Sparkle also plays a significant role in the story, which is fun. Vita is, at her core, a free-spirited character who exists in a grey area, not completely dark or light. From a Honkai Star Rail's perspective, she is a character who fits elation, which, yeah, she ends up a masked fool. Vita and Sparkle share similar personalities, and in a way they are a perfect match, which is concerning. I feel bad for any other character who has to deal with them. So when these two meet, they seem to get along on the surface, but in reality, there's a sense that both could end up messing with each other. They're like besties of mutual bad influences, or perhaps an inseparable troublemaking duo. I do like that idea. I do like that. With this dynamic in mind, we crafted the storyline where Vita is invited by Sparkle to join the Masked Fools, which is fun. I was also surprised by how Sparkle's battle scene and the collaboration were designed to closely resemble the battle visuals from Honkai Star Rail. How was this idea developed? First and foremost, Sparkle is an incredibly popular character, as she deserves. Because of that, we wanted to make sure her appeal, both in battle and as a character, was conveyed clearly to the Honkai Impact 3rd players. Sparkle is called the Thousand-Faced Maestro, or the all-powerful Sparkle, and she has the ability to turn the impossible into possible. Anything that Sparkle does is achievable. With that in mind, we decided to recreate the battle scene from Honkai Star Rail within Honkai Impact 3rd. Funny. Why does the series continue to depict a grand cosmic scale ode to humanity? Let's delve into the scenario creation process of the Honkai series. A straightforward question, what do you consider most important when writing stories for the Honkai series, not just Honkai Impact 3rd or Honkai Star Rail? First, the scenarios of the Honkai series are built around modern culture, which is pop culture. We started by considering the real-world issues and challenges people face today, which makes it a very human story. These problems are then given to the characters, who explore them within the story, yes, showing how they think about and tackle these issues. Through the narrative, we aim to deliver a slightly more romantic, positive, and ideal resolution compared to reality, which is fair. This allows players to empathize with the story, making relatable narratives a guiding principle in creating Honkai scenarios, which is nice. I do love how significant real-world things are to the story. I see. Compromising real-world issues. Honkai Impact 3rd has been running for 8 years. Make me feel old, thanks. Our starting point is quite simple. We want the players to feel through this long journey that they've experienced and grown alongside the characters and us, the developers. Definitely feel that. I've actively made a point already in at least one video about Honkai Star Rail helping me kind of put my feelings into words when it came to grief. There's a lot of other moments as well. I've had a lot of moments with this game alongside with people I cherish through this game. It's definitely helped me grow. The idea is that the players, the in-game characters, and the development team have evolved together. Real. If one day players look back on this journey and feel it was a beautiful, meaningful experience, there's no greater joy for us. I love that. Though this makes me wonder if and when eventually the games stop being live service, can they make them into single player experiences that are solid games? I want to be able to go back to this when I'm old, man. Instead of just through YouTube videos, I want it to be a game I can buy and have on my shelf that I never have to worry about it dying and just be like, okay, this is a defining moment in my life. I'm going to go back to it. Just like I do with Persona 3 and just like I do with Final Fantasy 9. Let me do that with this game eventually, with Honkai Impact 3rd and Star Rail, because Star Rail is developing moments in my present as well. I also love that they took moments from Part 1's ending. I love that so much. I love that. Seeing Welt with Tesla, let's go, and seeing Joachim with Tesla and seeing Welt, the actual Welt with Einstein, cute, like that. Seeing May look back at the Flame Chasers and Elysia seemingly looking their way, love that. These two, This is the one part I'm just like, You know that the story like over-romanticizes this because they barely knew each other. Kevin and May. and Mei almost seemingly looking in that direction. Though there are many titles within the Honkai series, such as Honkai Gaku and Honkai Impact Third and Honkai Star Rail, is there a central theme or proposition that runs throughout the entire series. The core themes of the Honkai series are growth and connection. I love that. Expressed differently across each title. For example, Honkai Impact Third embodies the wish to fight for what is beautiful in the world, reflecting beauty and goodwill. Love that. That's such a good summary of it. Meanwhile, Honkai Star Rail declares, "May this journey lead us starwards," emphasizing growth in the journey itself. Love that there's a progression in the series, so what the hell is Honkai Nexus Anima then? Additionally, we draw inspiration from the concept of humanistic care, showing empathy and attentiveness to others' needs. This serves as a foundation for portraying humanity's progress and attempts to build a harmonious society throughout the series. Cool. Love that. Like, this is the thing. No one can say that this game doesn't have a good theme. No one. At times it's handled weird, but usually their story writing is so on the nose, even if it's not a story you can truly empathize with. Like, I didn't like Bellabog, but it did show the progression of the people there. And it showed gradual steps forward from the Trailblazers. We would like to picture the development of humanity through these themes. Love that. Can we say that the series aims to depict a grand-scale ode to humanity? I guess so. You can also call it the beauty of humanity. Love that. These themes are simple, straightforward, and modest, yet positive and beautiful. That's why we believe they are worth celebrating and portraying over time. Let's go! I could feel it when playing the games as well that the theme of celebrating humanity is indeed important to the series. Do the members of the team also believe in human potential? And why do you believe in human potential? Well, this answer might be a bit long. First, HoYoverse as a company encourages us to continue pursuing ideals. For us, the ideal is that those who do good for others will be rewarded, or doing good things for someone else. However, in today's world, with the internet and globalization, everyone faces anxiety and confusion. Yeah, in life we are often forced to confront stress or suffering. Yes. I see the flame chasers beneath as well. Oh my god. What a good image to use for that, God! But even in the midst of such suffering, we want people to know there is always small happiness that can accompany them. True. In such situations, we believe that someone must take on the role of helping others discover these small moments of happiness and the beauty of the world. That is why, through the stories we tell, it is truly an honor for us if we can move players and give them courage and warmth. You've definitely done that. I can say that personally. Whether it's Honkai Impact Third or the upcoming Honkai Star Rail, what we wanted to convey through the stories has always been consistent. We believe that this is a role worth continuing to take on, and we are determined to keep carrying it forward. Aww. Oh, these lot. I love them. And what we believe is that reading history is very similar to reading a story. In history, there were people who suffered much more than we do today. However, they overcame past hardships and calamities and managed to preserve civilization up to the present day. This is a wonderful miracle. It is because of the goodness of humanity felt when reading that history that we can continue to believe in the beauty of life. We can keep believing in humanity. And the same can be said for stories as works of creation, both in experiencing them and creating them. What is common is the ability to move people. The reason we tell stories is because we want to share the light of human civilization with as many people as possible. Oh, the Robin moment with the bird too. That's a really good selection of two moments that really showcase it. Damn. The collaboration challenges of Elysian Realm. When the job was so harsh, the 13 flame chasers started appearing in the creator's dreams. Rough. At least it's not just my dreams that they harass too. Thanks, devs. Moving on, could you share what you prioritize when creating the stories for Honkai Impact 3rd? Given the vast storyline, numerous characters, what aspects do you focus on? Fun question. The most important principle is to balance the story and the characters. These two elements must not be separated. The story serves as a vehicle to convey the charm of the characters. Love that answer. One key aspect we focus on is ensuring we don't force a character to act in a way that doesn't align with their nature. Like that. Good writing. Characters should never be coerced into actions that feel unnatural for them. In short, to avoid writing what the characters would not do. Exactly. To us, every character is a living, breathing individual with their own flesh and blood. This perspective shapes how we approach their roles in the story, what kind of will they have, what kind of choices they make, and how they will act as the narrative unfolds. It's crucial that their actions stem from their own volition, not from arbitrary changes imposed by us. Ultimately, the most vital thing is to respect the will of the characters. With a foundation of love for each character, we create stories that align with their intentions and honour their individuality. Rough moment to pick, Jesus Christ! Hey, May's Hesher of Origin did say it's time to get a little violent. Yeah, this was the key moment of her violence. Jesus Christ. That was a rough moment. Rough. As mentioned earlier, Honkai Impact 3rd has been a long-running title. In the process of crafting its stories, what would you say has been the most challenging aspect? Oh, let's go. Well, challenges always arise during production. Yeah, I'm not stunned by that at all. As I mentioned earlier, both the players and the development team have grown together over time, which means the players' understanding of the game and their discerning eye has significantly improved. True. Because of this, we as developers are constantly challenged to figure out how to provide players with new experiences and how to express an even better game. Creating something new is quite difficult, but also an enjoyable process. If players find joy in these new elements, it makes us on the development side truly happy. Within Honkai Impact 3rd, would Elysian Realm be an example of such a challenge? Let's go. Honestly, when we started working on Elysian Realm, we were worried it might be too new and not well received due to its entirely fresh storyline and gameplay. It is the best part of 3rd. Meanwhile, I love it so much. I am revisiting it at some point. I love it. For instance, we were concerned whether the concept of the 13 Flame Chasers led by Elysia would resonate with the players. That's so weird to imagine being worried about that when they are literally the biggest vibe in the game, even now. Man, the Flame Chasers and their impact on May is like the best part of the story to me. May is my favourite character of 3rd. The impact the Flame Chasers had on her, most of them are like within my top 10. The list is mostly dominated by the Flame Chasers because they're so well written. Before its release, characters like Kiana, who had been around since the beginning, were incredibly popular. We worried if suddenly introducing so many characters would be accepted. Among the first 8 Flame Chasers to appear, some like Kevin and Hua were already familiar to players from early stages of the game. Let's go. While others, like Sue, had featured in manga, which yes, he did. By introducing the Flame Chasers gradually before the Elysian Realm, we aim to help players connect with them beforehand. Good integration. When the players finally experienced Elysian Realm and enjoyed it, recognizing our work, we were deeply relieved. Their love and support allowed us to continue developing the story. We are incredibly, incredibly grateful. Aw. Hey! Our girl. Don't need that note, I know what's going on with Elysian Realm. That said, many on the writing team began dreaming about the Flame Chasers nightly. Every night, the Flame Chasers would argue in our dreams. We'd wake up, write stories at work, then go home and dream about them again. This went on for 3 months straight. Jesus Christ. Hey, this is your fault. You did this to us as well. I was stuck dreaming about the Flame Chasers through all of the updates. I was so locked in. We've discussed Honkai Pact 3rd so far, but could you share what's most important when writing the story for Honkai Star Rail? Specifically, how do you differentiate the narratives of Honkai Pact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail? The worldviews of these two works are somewhat inherited from one another. However, in the case of Honkai Star Rail, the story is set against the backdrop of the vast space journey. The main focus here is whether or not we can express something new within the journey. For example, when a high school student steps into the gates of their university for the first time, or when someone becomes a working adult, or even when they start living in an entirely new city, they are bound to encounter something completely new. What they see will often be entirely different from what they imagined, and it will expand the boundaries of their imagination. This feeling is reflected in the format of Honkai Star Rail, where the players board the Star Rail train and pass through the next station. The larger theme of exploration stems from this concept. The sense of novelty and fresh surprise isn't just conveyed through the IP and storyline, but also through the art and game design. So even the overall freshness in Penacony is largely based on this idea. Neat. Hey, Black Swan, hi. With this concept as a foundation, we are constantly thinking about how we can exceed the player's expectations and offer new experiences in Honkai Star Rail. The journey ahead is filled with endless possibilities. I believe that. In the Honkai series, there are many grand settings, like Hershas and Aeons. When creating key settings like these, what do you keep in mind? Ooh, fun! We mainly focus on whether the setting is simple and easy to understand. The more important the setting, the more it serves as a kind of ruler within the world. Therefore, it is crucial to align understanding of the setting across all departments, not just the story team. Okay? I want to ensure that this ease of understanding is emphasized within the design team and effectively conveyed to the players. Additionally, I want to prioritize the expandability of the setting. For example, important concepts like Hershas or Aeon will appear and be expanded upon in future stories. Without expandability, the world and story would lack room for growth, so flexibility in the setting is necessary. Let's go! The story behind the creation of the main trio. Let's go. Now I'd like to ask about the characters in the Honkai series. Within the series, there are variants such as Raiden Mei and Bronya, who appear across different works. Let's go! Almost like a star system. Why does this variant system exist in the first place? I like this. This is talk about XPs and variants. Let's go! This system has been considered from the very beginning. In fact, from the very early stages of the series, we envisioned the Honkai series becoming a large IP. I'm stunned that they believed it would get this big, considering early Honkai Pact 3rd was a massive challenge to make work. They were far smaller then. We also decided that the different works within this IP would connect with each other. I like that. The most appropriate way to express this interconnectedness within the series was through the concept of variant. Let's go. Through the use of variant, we can maintain the relative independence of each work. For example, Raiden Mei appears in Honkai Pact 3rd, but in Honkai Star Rail she appears as Acheron. This creates a clear distinction between the two games. There are two main reasons for this. The variant system allows us to show the core users of the IP that each character contains different possibilities across different worlds. I love that. Even though they are both Mei, she leads completely different lives in Honkai Pact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail, right? Exactly. Even with the same character, if they make different choices, that could lead to completely different lives. In our own lives, if we had made completely different choices at some point in the past, we might have become entirely different people. I love this. To portray this possibility, we felt it was more appropriate to use variant rather than just a single character. I like that. And I like that they show them both, because yeah, they are very different people, but at the same time, there's parts of them that are the same. Like, Acheron is still as soft and caring as Mei, It's just her experience have made her do things differently. By the way, do the development team members have a deep attachment to characters like Raiden, May, and Bronya? I can feel the love you all have for them in every game. Before I answer, let me just say yes. Of course, as creators, we have a deep affection for all the characters we've created. I think that's meant to be for example. May and Bronya are characters we've been with for a long time, so we have a deep understanding of them. That is why we are able to explore more aspects of them and create more variants. We are still working hard on writing Kiana too, okay? Ah, that's Honkai Gakuin art, okay. The three characters, Kiana, May, and Bronya, have become central figures in the series. Could you tell us more about the time when these characters were first created? Fun. The three characters, Kiana, May, and Bronya, were created in the very early stages, specifically during Honkai Gakuin. Yep. At that time, the series was still quite compact. When creating these three, what we emphasized was that they were young girls still growing. They were still in the process of development, which meant they were full of potential. As they grew, there would be various possibilities for their futures. And through experiences with the player, they would undergo gradual growth. Because of this foundation, we were able to realize their potential as parallel characters in Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail. I love that they used Gakuin as a starting board, but they didn't end it there. Because they could have. They could have just mimicked the story again and just made it for modern graphics. It would have been... It still would have probably made them an audience, it just wouldn't have led to the same success. Since the series is meant to continue for a long time, it is important to maintain the characters' blank slate and purity, especially for the central characters, like that. Since you envision the series to continue for a long time, you must have placed great importance on the character's potential. Even though May appears in the same series, her setting and visual representation differ between Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail. How do you approach the differentiation of characters across different works in the series? Fun question. When introducing a character in a new work compared to the original, we often think about what new aspects can be brought to the character. For example, Acheron is a clear example of this. In Honkai Star Rail, Acheron's character design incorporates elements of a black hole to align with the vast cosmic setting of the game. When differentiating characters within the series, we first consider what new possibilities exist for this character's life. Ooh. And then think about how to visually express those possibilities. By combining these two aspects, we carefully craft the character's setting in a logical manner. Let's go! If it's a different parallel character, the background of the world will naturally change as well. However, the core of that character, the deepest part of their heart, remains the same. I said this earlier, that Acheron feels like May in her genuine consideration and affection. She has a softness to her, a reserved manner that is very much like May Raiden from 3rd. We want players to feel that this is a new character through both visual and story aspect, but after the story is completely finished, we would be happy if they still feel that at their core, the character is fundamentally the same. Yeah, they've accomplished that. I would say that Acheron, Fanon, and Sereni accomplish this the best. Some of the others, I'd say that improvements could be made. Well, obviously does, but he is exactly the same character. You were creating it in a way that players could feel, even if the world changes, the core remains the same. Nice. Who was the most challenging character to create so far? Jesus Christ, oh no. The series features numerous characters with extensive settings and backstories, such as Elysia. To be honest, I'd like to ask, was there a character that was particularly challenging to create? If so, I'd love to hear about it. Love that. The most challenging character to create is always the one we are currently working on. There's a significant level of uncertainty when creating a character. Fair enough. We constantly worry about whether the players will accept and be satisfied with this new character. Fair. So in practical terms, the current one is always the hardest. Looking back at past characters, while it is hard to label any single one of them as the most difficult, characters with long life experiences, complex relationships, and heavier, more profound dilemmas tend to be more challenging to portray. Fair. Can we go a little deeper? These characters' experiences and circumstances often differ greatly from those of ordinary people. However, when writing stories, there are many moments where they must be brought back to their human side. Capturing these subtle contrasts is extremely challenging, requiring meticulous attention to every word. For instance, when writing Kevin's lines, "Let's go, boy!" we must constantly consider whether they carry enough weight. Similar to Fu Hua, her every action and word must align with her long-standing guardian role. If not, it risks creating a sense of inconsistency. I like that they specifically use those two characters to emphasize that point. In Honkai Star Rail, characters like Acheron require each line to be expressed with sufficient tenderness. Love that! Specifically saying tenderness, because that's the core of Mei Raiden. While others, like Jing Yuan, demand a sense of tactical behind every word. Yeah, that's fair. Oh, they show the moment! Let's go. These examples illustrate how every line of dialogue must be carefully crafted and repeatedly refined for every character. Rather than identifying the most difficult character to create, it might be more accurate to describe this as the most challenging aspect of character creation. Fun. Oh boy! With Sue when they were young. I love that. Showing that and showing Acheron's tender moment as quote-unquote Mei Busamori Raiden. Yes! Characters with professional knowledge in their fields are also difficult. For example, Sue from Honkai Impact 3rd is a clear case. Ha! When writing Sue's dialogue, we had to keep a dictionary of technical terms on hand and study extensively ourselves as we crafted his lines. Let's go! His dialogue required a level of expertise that matched his character. So as creators, we essentially attended classes while developing him. This was incredibly challenging. I like that. Indeed, Sue is a character that demands specialist knowledge. Are there moments when you're writing a character and feel this is turning into an amazing character? I like this question. That's so cool. This interview is great. Let's go. It's more often while writing a story that we feel this is shaping up to be an excellent story. Those moments give us a sense of completion, as if the story is truly coming together. For example, when we were working on Everlasting Flames or Elysian Realm, let's go, two amazing moments. Well, two amazing sections of the story, but I'd say Elysian Realm wins out, but Everlasting Flames, damn. Take me back. There were moments during internal reviews when the team members were deeply moved after reading the script. Their excitement to bring those stories to life was incredibly rewarding for us as writers. It was an unforgettable experience. Let's go! Our writers team tends to think of ourselves less as creators of stories and more recorders of stories. In other words, rather than writing stories ourselves, we see it as documenting the tale woven by each character. Neat. That approach really comes across in the writing. So good, man. Also, let's go with that screenshot moment. The question is, are they in the original interview or did this person who translated it pick these out? So the most enjoyable moments are when it feels like the characters are directly sharing their stories with us. Let's go. This might be a bit of a tangent, but in Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail, both male and female characters are portrayed as equally compelling. How do you approach depicting the appeal of male and female characters? Okay. Actually, we don't often differentiate character portrayal based on gender. Fair enough. Like that. Realistic. What we prioritize instead is whether the character is staying true to their own conviction, whether they remain steadfast in their beliefs and pursue what they truly want to do. That said, Honkai Impact 3rd is centered around the theme of the growth of the girls, so the story naturally focuses more on the journeys and achievements of its female characters. And when they made it votable that male characters could be playable, the community reacted pathetically. But, god damn it, at least Star Rail gave us that. In this context, we place great emphasis on depicting how they grow and evolve throughout the narrative. Conversely, male characters in Honkai Impact 3rd are often portrayed as individuals who have already undergone significant growth, which sets them apart in a different way. True, they do that. Though the manga depicts the growth of... So, Second Eruption shows, I'd say, some development of Siegfried because it shows his past. And the Anti-Entropy light novel, that shows it shows Walt Joyce developing into a hero, but it also shows Joachim, or Welt Yang, as a boy. We get the contrast between him and when he's a developed man. Elysian Realm gives us glimpses into the growth of Kevin Castellana into who he is, while Honkai Impact 3rd story proper shows him developed. So, we kind of get similar things. I wish we could have gotten more growth from them. It's why Amphoris is incredible for giving us basically the development of Kevin in a way that is experienceable more so, because Elysian Realm gave us glimpses. Amphoris let us play an alternative form of him going through what he did. That is quite true. Male characters in Honkai Impact 3rd often appear as fully developed adults right from the start. Yeah. Welt is introduced in the main story as a character whose growth has already been completed, which, yeah. In this sense, we view gender simply as one of the core aspects that shape a character's life journey. That's fair. The foundational settings for the entire Honkai series were established much earlier than you might think. Okay. I'd like to ask about the development background of the Honkai series. Before the release of Honkai Star Rail, was the story team working on the planning of Star Rail while also creating the climax of the first part of Honkai Impact 3rd? I'm not stunned. I'm not stunned that they were working on this. It had to be the case. We know that Star Rail was in the works longer than its release. Actually, not just for Honkai Star Rail, but the entire Honkai series. Let's go. The overall setting has been created much earlier than you might think. In fact, it started long before the release of the games. Let's go! During this time, the settings for the entire series are gradually being organised. It is slowly weaving a network that connect Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail together. So the overall concept for the series is created at a higher stage of production than each individual project. In reality, the Honkai series story team is very large. I'm not stunned. Which is quite different from the image of a few main writers handling the entire script. Yes. Could you share with us the situation of the development team when Honkai Impact 3rd was first being created? The company was probably not as large as it is right now, right? Yeah! At that time, the team was quite small, and the game development process wasn't as formal as it is now, not a surprise. For example, when creating the visual novel parts of Honkai Impact 3rd, the story writers themselves sometimes coded the engine and UI directly. Poor sods! That's loads of work! Ew. Give credit where it's due, they are working hard. That sounds impressive. It is impressive. And a lot of work. At that time, our writing team was in fact fairly well-rounded. With members who had skills just beyond writing, we had writers with expertise in various fields, which is why we were able to approach development in that way. Back then, the writers' desks were quite close to each other, so instead of holding meetings in a conference room, if anyone had an idea, they'd just speak up and share it right there. Fair enough. Oh god, that's the, that's the Sushang novel. That's still not in English either, only fan translated just like the Anti-Entropy one. Though this one's translation is way harder to get a hold of. In Honkai Impact 3rd, there are story contents presented in a visual novel format. Yes, there are. There was a time when the writers themselves were responsible for creating the UI for those sections. Jesus Christ. With the success of several hit titles, Hoyoverse has grown significantly since the time Honkai Impact 3 began development. In this context, are there any positive changes you feel have occurred recently? Let's go! An obvious change has been the increase in team size. As a result, there are more people contributing ideas, and by exchanging different perspectives, we've been able to draw more inspiration. Let's go. Additionally, with more people involved in story creation, we've been able to craft more complex story structures. Let's go! As the team has grown, the quality of the works has also improved. When faced with challenges, there are many individuals offering different solutions. Furthermore, with the team expanding, we've seen many new members joining, especially younger individuals. I feel the story team is getting younger. Thinking of the latest trend this year or the next, thanks to these younger members bringing in fresh ideas, we feel the team's vitality is stronger than ever. Let's go! Many of them have come to the story team from different fields of study, and it feels we're able to complement each other's knowledge effectively. Having some young blood. How big is the current team? That is a secret. The internal structure and framework has been quite complex, so it is difficult to simply categorize them all as under story team anymore. In terms of those who are responsible for the content of the IP, there are about several dozen people involved. I also love that this is the collaboration trailer we got that didn't come through, which does hurt. Wait, should we be even more excited about modern alternative universe content? We heard that the collaboration between Honkai Impact 3 and Honkai Star Rail was a small experiment for the future of the Honkai series. What does that small experiment specifically mean? This time, the collaboration is centered around Honkai Impact 3, but in the future, we want to create a much larger story by crossing over the worlds of both games. Let's go! In other words, we're aiming for a more full-scale fusion of worlds. I wonder if this ties into Honkai Nexus Anima, or if it's going to be something else. However, with the main storylines of both titles still ongoing, we're still exploring how we can create a massive cross-series narrative. This collaboration is the first step in that challenge. We want to gather feedback from players as we move forward. Nice. Would it be correct to say that you want to create a larger story that involves the entire series, but starting with something smaller? Exactly. Ooh, that's the moment the memo keeper has came across Kiana. Let's go. That was also very neat, by the way, from the collaboration. Lastly, are there any things you would like to try with the Honkai series in the future? Putting aside whether it will actually be realised, we're curious about the content ideas that are in your minds. It might be a bit abstract, but I'd like to try something that is beyond what we can imagine right now. To make sure the players enjoy it, I want to deliver something that exceeds their expectations. One example of this is the Honkai Impact 3 animation Golden Courtyard. Yay! More of that, please! It was so good, man. Speaking of which, for Christmas, me and my other half need to watch that again. We just do. It takes place at Christmas time. It's perfect. It's a wintry little moment. And it has the themes of what would be a holiday sort of film or media. Let's go. I like this. That anime is an extension of the existing characters' portrayals depicting what kind of life these characters would have led if they were living in the real world. I would like to explore such what-if possibilities in future opportunities as well. Let's go. As for how it will go, that depends on how work from now. That depends on how work from now on. Okay. That reads awfully. That makes no sense. That's probably a mistake. That depends on how work from now on. How work is from now on, maybe. Oh, I love Golden Courtyard. Please do. Yeah, same here, man. Same here. We will do our best. I look forward to the continuation of Golden Courtyard. I mean, I was honestly surprised to hear that the team is trying to tell a bigger story across the entire Honkai series. Wait, does that mean that Honkai Impact 3 and Honkai Star Rail are going to be more and more connected from now on? I did notice the terms Aeons popping up. In any case, I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming next. From this part on, I will write my personal feelings about the two titles. What I feel when playing both games is that this is a game with an incredibly pure wish embedded in it. Accurate, I agree with this person. The themes being told, the story being depicted, the character growth, everything is pure, innocent, and that's why it appears beautiful. In creation, it's easy to want to add complexity or twists. But a story that continues to believe in the beauty of humanity and the world without compromise, the more one is familiar with creation, the higher the hurdle becomes. At least, that's how it feels to me. But it is a story that believes in the value of people, even if that might be being stupid and naive. I imagine it's meant to have that in. A story that believes in the beauty of the world, even if that might be stupid and naive. I think that's what makes the Honkai series what it is. It's stunningly pure, and you can't create this purity without building on a simple, innocent wish. So I was really happy to hear that directly. These works were truly filled with pure, innocent desires. Even in the midst of suffering, I want to know that there will always be a small amount of happiness that stays by your side. That's so moving. And yeah, that really is moving. The team truly believed in stories as able to save the world while creating. It's so pure, but that's what I love, and that's why I stayed with it. It's why I stayed with it as well. And right now, I believe that those people are in the process of saving the world throughout their games. Wait, are they putting their Tech Otaku Save the World idea here? The company motto is being put into practice. That's such a good connection, actually. I wouldn't have even thought about that. May civilization continue like the stars. May the world shine like gold. With such wishes, I will keep watching over the Honkai series as it unfolds. So will I. I don't do Honkai Part 3rd content on my channel really anymore because I typically play it with my other half, but I will always treasure this series. But yeah, no. This is a really good interview, and it provided a lot of insight that's actually greatly appreciated. I'm hoping in the future we can get more into 3rd in Star Rail. I want to see the outcome that they're thinking of the story meeting in the middle and having a grand narrative connected to both. I do wonder how they'd handle interactions of characters that are variants of each other, though. I think it'd be a little weird. Either way, I really love this interview. Let me know what you think. I will always treasure this series. It has been there through key defining moments of my life. I'm grateful to MiHoYo/Hoyoverse for giving me this. I know that wasn't their intention to target me specifically, but it's impacted my life. I imagine many others feel the same way, and hopefully it'll continue to do so. It's sad that Honkai Part 3rd gets slower updates than before. It's slowly declining, which is sad. I really want them to make it a full game at some point that's offline if the servers can't be maintained. But only the company gets to decide that. So I think it's important that people keep recording things about the game, because as much as we love them and as much as currently they're thriving, someday they won't be online probably anymore. And that's really tragic to think about, and I don't want that to be lost. I want other people to be able to come back to these series and be like, that's so powerful. Because art doesn't really die. If it has something, if it's meaningful, it will survive. In the hearts of the people who experienced it and saw it, in the hearts of its creators, and in the medium itself, potentially, if it inspires others. Let others experience that art when the time comes. That's the main sentiment I take from this. So until next time, have a good night, morning, day, whatever time it is, wherever you guys are in the world, and take care of yourselves.